You are listening to the Holistic Hormone Podcast. I'm your host, Eleanor Dooley, and if you're seeking a deeper understanding of your body's inner workings, the reasons behind its actions and reactions, and you suspect that your hormones might be at play, you are in the right place, my friend. As a functional medicine nutritionist specializing in holistic hormone health for women, I bring together the latest research, my clinical expertise, and my own personal experiences to create a safe space for you to learn and explore. Just remember, this podcast provides information and inspiration for you, not medical diagnoses or treatments. Always consult your own doctor before making any changes. Now, are you ready to dive in? Let's get started. Hi, everybody. It's Eleanor Dooley, and I'm back with the Holistic Hormone Podcast. I've taken a little time off, but that's only because I'm getting settled in a new location where I opened my private practice in downtown McKinney. So I'm really happy to be back, and I've got some great things coming up in the next few months, and I really wanted to share them with you over the next few months. Because where I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we are moving into spring quite rapidly. And I really, really love this time of year. I love each of the seasons for different reasons. And, when that change comes upon us, we get excited about change. Even though a lot of the time we can feel hesitant about change because there's some reasons that we like to stay in the status quo, but there's some exciting things that can happen with change. So we're going to talk today about how the change, not only in the seasons, but in our bodies and things that we're doing throughout our lives, cause us to really question, do we just need more to do, or is there a way to do things more efficiently? So I'm going to give you some of my personal tips on what I think about that, how efficiency can change even can change the amount of time that you have. It's really quite a concept to think that we have a finite amount of time in our day. And if we are able to efficiently organize our day, we can actually get more done in less time, and we're actually giving less effort. So that's the part that I think we, as moms, women, entrepreneurs, just busy people, that's the part we struggle with, because most of the time we're thinking, I don't want to add anything else to my to-do list. I've got plenty to do. I never get downtime. And even the thought of introducing a different system of organization is stressful and can be overwhelming. So I have some ideas about this and some things that have really worked for me, even going from my winter hibernation darkness, where I like to sleep more, spend more time indoors and rest, cracking through that into the spring, where I find a workout routine that I like, that I can stick with. Foods kind of change. In the spring, we tend to eat more fresh and fresh fruits and vegetables. Maybe we try different kinds of meats and seafoods and things like that. Whereas winter is more of a dark, cold energy, where we want to snuggle and we want to, get under the covers and eat warm things like soup and drink teas and things that bring comfort to us. We're kind of breaking out of that now. Wherever you are listening to this, unless you're on the other side of the world, where you're just going into fall, my Australian friends, hello, then you're going to kind of start breaking out of those old wintry habits, shaking off the cobwebs, and really kind of diving into what the new spring is going to bring. So I wanted to touch on, have you guys read that book, Atomic Habits? Because a lot of people like talking about this style of efficiency when we're talking about, how do I get more time in my day and not be as stressed as I am now? How do I get less stress and more time, even though I might have more things to do? So Atomic Habits is really talking about the power of tiny changes. So we don't make progress. Generally, we don't make progress with these huge leaps. So if you wake up one morning and you completely change the way that you're eating, so if you go from just eating whatever you want to gluten-free, dairy-free, low calorie, no sugar, if you do these dramatic steps, and we probably are all guilty of this at some point, but we try something super dramatic because we know that those changes are going to be super effective. But the problem happens is that we don't do it gradually enough, and our nervous system kind of catches up with us, and we can get overwhelmed, we can get ahead of ourselves, and then we just end up quitting. So if we're doing gradual itty bitty changes, then we're actually more apt to see progress and to stay with it, because those little changes make you feel better. And when you're feeling better, you want to do more things. So that's one of the pillars of the Atomic Habits, and the domino effect of habits. So, you get a little win and it feels good. So you do it again, and then maybe you do a little bit more, and you just start building on it. And it's really important for us to figure out what we need to drop, what we need to add, and how we need to organize. So that's pretty much what I want to dive into today. So we all know that life is basically a continual roller coaster. We have our ups and we have our downs, whether it's emotional, whether it's our busy schedules. Pretty much every time I talk to a neighbor or somebody that I don't see every single day, but I see often enough, I say, "How are you? How's it going?" "Oh, I'm so busy. It's a busy season." And I kind of chuckled to myself because I have never had somebody answer that question for me in the last maybe 10 years that says, "Oh, it's a really slow period where I'm catching up on my sleep and I'm getting organized and I'm doing all of the tasks that I've been putting on the back burner." Never once. And I do it too. I think it's just the nature of our culture now of always busy, always doing something. If we're not doing something, we feel shamed into being lazy, or this big fear of, well, we can't rest. There's so much to do. And I think that really does us a disservice, because rest is inherently built in to the biology of our bodies. We have to rest. The sun will set every night for you to rest, and it will rise in the morning for you to get back to work or life or family or whatever. So the thought that taking time to rest or taking time to recuperate or to settle your thoughts and turn inward it's crazy that we've gotten away from that societally, because it really it cheapens the time that we have. I've always liked the term, work smarter, not harder. It's not just a cliche. It's actually really exposing the fact that efficiency and productivity will increase when we think through our to-do list or our errands. And I've always, ever since having kids, really, having to figure out carpool or dinner or lunches or, just really having all of those things on my plate. I've really been able to master the calendar and really plan things out ahead of time so that we don't get into, schedule trouble, meaning we're run ragged and we don't take time for ourselves. I mean, there's some things we can't avoid. Obviously, we were away last weekend as a family, staying in a hotel, at an event that lasted 12 to like 14 hours per day. So, on those days, you have to be flexible enough to roll with it. But when we're talking about our everyday rhythms and really breaking out of the old winter, in when it's dark, getting ready for bed early, and really kind of, yearning for that daylight savings so that you can have that extra hour of sunlight in the morning, whether that's for you to get up and, have some more time to yourself, to meditate, to work out, to maybe just lay in bed and read a book, whatever that is for you. I urge you to find that thing that will encourage you to take care of yourself and to free up space for you to maximize your time, thinking about efficiency and doing things smarter. So there is some research on this, and as I was looking into it, it's really hard for us to delegate, especially as moms. For me, it used to be difficult to ask for help, but when I was a mom of toddlers, my husband was deployed a lot, so I was single parenting in the terms of scheduling and kind of organizing the house. It became commonplace for me to ask a neighbor to help, to hire a neighbor's daughter to come over and watch the kids while they were napping so that I could go to the grocery store. So like finding efficient pockets of energy where I could have time to myself and also complete a to-do list item. So thinking through your schedule that way is a lot better for you than sort of a list of like rote memorization, like, oh, I got to go to A, I got to go to B, and I got to go to C. And it's like, well, can you go to B and C after before A? Because it looking at it that way, looking at the whole day, piece by piece, you can actually rearrange kind of like Tetris style to get more things out of your time. Carpools were probably invented for this exact reason. Like, why are we all doing the same thing? Why are we all going to the same place at the same time? Can't we make this more efficient? So I urge you to carpool your schedule in a way that is going to promote more time for you to recuperate and to rest your mind. Have you guys heard of the Pomodoro technique? It's this research where Pomodoro is basically a tomato timer. I learned this, one of my clients was telling me about it. I'd never heard it called that, but basically you set a timer where you have laser focus for about 25 minutes, and then you take a break. You take a 5 to 10 minute break where you literally walk away from your work, you change environments, whether that's go out of the room, whether it's, something else, and then come back to your task, because it prevents the burnout of, looking up from your computer and seeing it's 3 hours later and you can't think straight. It's actually more efficient to take these breaks, because the time that you are laser focused, you're knocking things out at record pace. So think about it that way. If you apply that to your schedule of like, okay, if I spend the next 10 minutes without interruption and really focus on meal planning or meal prep, or where I'm going to fit in these walks every day, or whatever it is that you're going through that you want to organize and redo, this is the way that you can do it. Because, research show that incorporating mindful breaks into your routine will positively impact your health, your hormones, your sleep. So if you're interested in doing those things, you have to build in this break time. So I just want to address that. I'm sure some of you might be like, yeah, that's cool, but I just don't have time. I don't have time. That's the one thing I'm lacking. And we're all there. We all experience this. We all say this. We all do this. But research is going to tell you that actually taking breaks gives you more time in the long run, because you are healthier and happier and you're less anxious. So think of the time that anxiety robs from you. Think of the time that, the negativity and the toxicity and the things that drag you down or take your energy. Think of eliminating that from your life and imagine how much space it opens up. Last year in October, I went to an intensive neuro-linguistic programming week. It was NLP, if you've ever heard of that. And it was an intense week of removing the negative real estate, I guess you could say, that has taken up residence in my unconscious mind. So if you have that negative voice that reminds you all the time that, hey, you can't do that, or who are you to do that, or stop doing that, or don't say that, or you don't look good in that. Imagine if that was muted, or better yet, just disappeared altogether, what you would be able to think and create in that space, in that place of that space. It was unfathomable to me to be able to remove that inner voice. And after doing this work, I was able to do that. And it was just an amazing realization of how much time we waste on negative self-talk. So it's important to realize that you do have a finite amount of time, but it can expand and the space can grow if you allow it to, if you do it in ways that are productive and that help you to figure those things out. If you didn't spend so much time worrying or experiencing discomfort in your body, if you have your period and it's uncomfortable and it's awful, and you're taking care of it and the symptoms, and then you feel like 1 week or 2 weeks, I even had a gal in here, so 3 weeks out of the month she was just out of commission. Imagine how much time you would get back if you can identify what is causing that imbalance. And that can be applied to your mental state, that can be applied to your work calendar, your kids' calendar. So there is an opportunity here for you to get reorganized this spring, to allow the possibility of, I know I have a finite amount of time, but if I do things more efficiently and smarter, then I'm going to have so much more time for rest and peace and things that actually fill my cup. And I want to encourage you to reach out if this message resonates with you, because this is how I help women through these bumps in the road, in the decades of our aging and in our changing bodies. This spring, I'm going to remind you that the change, we don't always like it, but we wake up and adapt to it. And if we can get ahead of that adaptation, meaning if we can think through what it's going to look like, what it's going to be like, and how we can prepare ourselves, then we're actually ahead of the game. And that's what I want for you. And I can help you eliminate some of these symptoms, whether they're health symptoms, whether they're pain, discomfort, or they're symptoms of negative self-talk. And just really thinking, well, I'm not good enough to do that, or that's nice, but you sound super confident, and it just seems too overwhelming and too hard for me. That's exactly why you need it. And it's piece by piece. Remember, I said we're not going to do these humongous changes because those are a shock to our nervous system. But if we are able to regulate our nervous system, calm down, deep breaths, all of that stuff, then we can actually focus our mind on finding a solution. And that is what I do for women. That is how I help with holistic hormones, with gut health, with this negative self-talk and mindset work. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Holistic Hormone Podcast. I appreciate you being a part of our community, and I hope you found today's episode truly valuable. If this podcast meant something to you and you'd like to show your support, please consider leaving me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your reviews help others discover this valuable information. Don't forget to stay connected with me on social media. You can always find me on Instagram at holistic.hormone.specialist, where I share insights, tips, and updates to keep you informed and inspired. And if you're interested in exploring my latest programs and resources, head over to nourishingnutrition.net to see what's new and how you can further your journey to holistic hormone health. Once again, thanks for being part of this podcast family. Your health and well-being matter, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, take care and stay hormonally balanced.